that we need to, exploit. And we have the skills, we have the technology to do it, we have the entrepreneurs to do it, but we just make it very difficult to apply for a license, get a license, meet with the department, and most of all, do it in a time frame that is cost effective.
What are the problems with mining regulation in South Africa? I posed this question to John Bristow in a recent episode of my podcast. What follows is a short extract from our longer conversation. Enjoy.
To start with, I think we could, make heaps of improvement and leap forward, David, with a decent modern cadastral system. And as I say, I can very quickly find out what's available, what areas can be explored in Botswana or Namibia or Canada or Australia.
And why don't we have that here in South Africa?
Well, we seem to be anti-transparency, I think, is one of the big problems. I think, sadly, and, it comes up every day in the newspapers, we've had this horrible, years of corruption, and that's had a huge impact on the country. Our SAMRAD Cadastral system, from the day of its inception, back in, I think it was about 2008, has been a nightmare, to the point that it's really hampered investment. And I've been actively involved in the small diamond sector. And as I said to you, I've spent most of my life in this sector. And I made the transition from, working for De Beers, which was a wonderful experience, into the small sector. We raised money, a group of us in Canada, and we ran a couple of public companies, mining diamonds along the Orange River. But when it takes you, 2, 3, and even 4 years to make an application for a prospecting right or a mining right, and once you've got that, then you still have to get a water use permit or a water use license, a WUL, as they call it, WUL. And then you've got a social and labor plan that hooks onto that application. And then you've got to make sure you have your BEE partner lined up. All of those for small operators and mid-tier operators become, real impediments. And then when you have further, overlaid layers of mine health and safety requirements, rehabilitation. I'm not for 1 minute saying, all of those things should be done, but done to an appropriate level and standard where the small guys, and many of these operations, particularly alluvial diamonds, alluvial diamond deposits are not bankable. You've been around the block, you'll know what bankable means in terms of an ore body. So if I find an ore body, and it's the same thing as, if you're looking to build a business, you put together a business plan, you take it to your banker, he says, yes, that looks good. He does some background checks on you, and you've effectively got a bankable business plan. They'll loan you money. You've got to obviously make a return. When it becomes to many of these smaller mineral deposits, be it diamonds or lithium would be a good example, or tungsten or tin. They sort of small, mid-sized mineral deposits. They tend to be irregularly dispersed, through the rocks or through the gravel, for example, in alluvial diamond deposits. You can drill holes, you can take bulk samples, and you can model them. But there's always an element of uncertainty, and hence they become very difficult to bank. So many of these small alluvial diamond deposits are actually, they started off as mom and pop businesses, but they've got, mostly bigger than that. They effectively run by entrepreneurs, and there will probably be, partnership of 3 businessmen or miners who get together, and they throw their hat in the ring, and they throw their money into the ring as well, and they go out and set up their own businesses. and they might have months, where they don't find, a couple of big stones that pay the diesel and the labor and, make a profit. So they're more risky type operations. And again, you'll probably also be familiar with our banking system and our, way that our parents put their money in mutual funds and looked after them. We've never had the sort of somewhat gambling approach that you get in Canada and Australia to support entrepreneurs. There's more readily available risk capital, and we haven't had that in this market. And when I look at the number of small companies that we have listed today, it's minuscule. And I think we're seeing a massive decline in the number of companies listed on our stock exchange. So when you're an entrepreneur running your own business, you need to manage your costs very, very carefully. The risks are high, and you really need an enabling environment that will allow them to get on. So if you want to apply for a license, it should be quick. There's absolutely no reason it takes you 2 or 3 years to get a license in other parts of the world. Or Botswana, I can get it probably a mining right in 3 or 4 months. Prospecting right, you can get it probably in a couple of weeks if the ground's available. So a cadastral system and a system which creates transparency is something we need. We have a wonderful system, ironically, that's made in Cape Town by a little company called Spatial Dimension out of Pinelands. That cadastral system, that company was bought out by Trimble, the world's largest land management system. And that system has been rolled out all around Africa and all around the world. But for some reason, our local politicians and government departments, find or see fit not to at least invite them to tender. So they're not in the race, so to speak.
I wonder why. I mean, government often makes a noise about localization and beneficiation, but here we have a globally competitive company on our literally on our shores that's blocked. Yeah, so I think that goes to some of the governance problems and just the outright collapse of the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, and a succession of poor ministers who've really let down the country in terms of its the appropriate governance of the mining sector.
Yeah, David, I'd agree fully. I'm very strong about that. I'm a good straight shooting South African. We have this wonderful endowment. Well, come on, and if I go back to the founding charter of the the ANC, it was the resources in the ground are there for the people. Well, I don't think we're going to achieve that unless we actually start seriously fixing some of these challenges we have. Like it or not, and I fully accept there's some real serious legacies from the mining industry. All the way from pollution to silicosis. The hostels were never a good system. So we have those legacies, but we had a world-class mining industry. We still have an exceptional legacy of being able to mine mineral deposits. So somehow we've got to turn that negative legacy into a positive. And if we're going to recreate the jobs that we desperately need to get people off the street, we need to start looking forward and re-energizing what we were good at. I mean, we have amazing farmers in this country. We have an amazing history of mining. How can we turn that around into a positive? How can we start redeveloping these small deposits? A lot of our alluvial diamond deposits are in the Northern Cape. Now, the Northern Cape's a bit fortunate, given its exceptional manganese and iron ore deposits in the northern part of the Northern Cape, up around Sish and Kathu, hot as hell. So there is already a sort of big footprint up there, but we need more mining. If you drive through the small towns of Wolmaranstad and Bloemhof and Douglas and all of those, small towns. They're really desperate places. And when I see the thousands of tin shacks springing up west of Klerksdorp and around Wolmaranstad, I mean, this is a wealthy country. We shouldn't be in that position where millions of people live in a tin shack. It's 3 by 4 meters. It's crazy. So mining and farming, have been core businesses, and let's try and turn those around. And most of all in the Northern Cape and the Northwest province is another very good example. It produces gorgeous alluvial diamond deposits, and it's over the years, been quite successfully mined, but there's still a big resource out there that we need to exploit. And we have the skills, we have the technology to do it, we have the entrepreneurs to do it, but we just make it very difficult to apply for a license, get a license, meet with the department, and most of all, do it in a time frame that is cost effective.
Thanks for watching. Let's hand over to you, our audience. Do you think that our mining regulatory framework has damaged the industry? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. Also, if you enjoyed this analysis, you might want to check out the full-length conversation with John Bristow. That's linked over here. You can also check out my other channel. That's linked over here. My name is David Ansara. Until next time, take care.